Okay, so today's Daf Lamed Zayin. We're starting the new parak, Lamed Vav Beis. We continue a little bit with the pigel, but now we get into, we know that carbonos have to be, the thing that's the main part of carbonos is to put the blood onto the mizbeach. That's mamish, that's the main part, that's what matters it, that's what gives the kapara. So there's different carbonos that need different amounts of sprinkling the blood. Right? So the question is, what's the minimum amount? What are the not? There's no max. Well, I guess there is a maximum amount, but what's the minimum amount that you'd be yotze with, et cetera, et cetera. So we started with the machlekes b'shamay and Beis Hillel, and that's the first couple of blot of this parak. So b'shamay yomer kol nisan al mizbeach hachitzon. Any of the placings, that's literal touch. We're going to see in the next daf. If a dafka has to be placed, or it could be spilled, or it could be thrown. So called in al mizbeach achitz, and anything that's put on the outside mizbeach, shenosem b'matana achas, that you do matana achas, meaning most matanas, you're supposed on the outside mizbeach, on the mizbeach achitz, and it's supposed to be two matanas on each corner, on the two corners, and then the blood is supposed to flow down both sides. That's the majority. But if you only put one, right? So keeper, it works, meaning you didn't do it properly. You're supposed to do it on both, but you only did one. So Beishamay holds it's good. Well, by a chatas, where you're supposed to put four times, shtei matanas, it's two matanas. Well, Beisilo say af chatas shenosna matana achas keeper. Even the chatas that he just did one matana is mechaper, right? So Beis Hillel is as usual is the more mekel, right? Again, Beis Shammai says anything that's on the outside mizbeach, one matana is enough, and for a chatas, which normally requires four, two matanas is enough. And Beis Hillel says no, one matana is enough, meaning you got to do four or two on the outside, but one is really enough. Lefikach. If you put the first one proper, right? Meaning if you put the first one now. Okay, so then that's just akadama to the next part of the Mishnah. So we know that he only over on pigel if you do something kosher. It has to be, pigel doesn't take place until the sprinkling is done on the mizbeach, and that sprinkling has to be done kedin. If it's not done kedin and you have a machshava psula, that's not going to make it possible because the whole thing wasn't kosher. Let's say he put the first blood on the mizbeach properly, meaning he didn't have any bad thoughts, right? And then the second part that he put under the mizbeach, he did chutz lizmana, then keeper, then there is a kapara because the carbon is already kosher from the first one, right? According to everybody, once you put one onto the mizbeach, right, then it's kosher. So since the carbon was already kosher, so even though he had a machshavas pigel on the next one, right, that doesn't make a difference. But if he puts the first one chutz lizmana, and the second one he puts chutz l'mekayma, pigel it's pigel, v'chayavin olav kares, and he is chayiv in a chayiv kares. Right? Kol ha'nitnan al mizbeach apnimi, meaning.
So I'm sorry. So the point over here we should make is that when he has the machshavas pasul, it's not. It doesn't change the status of the korban. It's the pigel is already with toifus, and the machshavas chutzim kaimai doesn't help it. It doesn't
Right.
help it with. So it stays pigel. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yes, right. So again, it's all based on what the minimum amount of kosher is. Yeah. Then the Gemara continues. The Mishnah continues. Kol nitnin ala mizbeach pnimi. Anything that's supposed to be done on the inside mizbeach, right? That's the par helam davar by Kohen Gadol and and uh, and Avodah Zarah, etc. So anything that's supposed to be put on the inside of Mizbeach, she'im chisar achas min hamatanas keilu lo, that in that situation, if you're even missing one of the placements of the blood, then there's no kapara. The fika, therefore, nosan kulin ketiknan. Let's say you put them all on properly, va'achas shaloi ketiknan, and one not proper. Psula, it's puzzle, vein by chorus, but there's no chorus. Why? Because the Zrika wasn't done properly. Well, the Zrika Nesina wasn't done properly, right? Because you need to have all four placements on the Mizbeach in order to make the carbon kosher. And you don't have that? Fine. So that's the Mishnah. Tana Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan learned, how do you know that according to all opinions, if the blood that's supposed to be put onto the outside mizbeach that was put only with one matan instead of two, that there's a kapara, meaning the carbon still works. Talmud loimer v'dam zvachecha yishafech, the blood of your carbon you should pour, right? Which means the dam just one is enough. So I'm going to ask. Now the Gemara is going to go through for the next Amud or Amud and change all different drushes that maybe we can learn out. But we need this pasuk for something else. Look at the Tanya onto today's daf. How do you know that all blood, meaning all the leftover blood, once the blood sprinkled on the mizbeach, that you have to put the blood onto the base. The blood of your carbon you should pour. Right? So you see, you need the pasuk to tell you that all leftover blood goes on the base of the mizbeach. So when it answers nafkale mid Rebbe, we learn now from Rebbe to Tani Rebbe Omer, v'anisha bedam yimatze. Anything that's left over from the dam, it has to be pressed, right? She'ain tamaler bedam. It doesn't have to tell you the word dam because the pasuk already said that we're talking about dam. Badam. So what is the word dam telling you? Because that we learned that that we're only talking about when you have to put the blood 4 times, right? And that's where you have to put the leftover blood. Meaning, whenever the Torah says put the blood on 4 corners, then that's when you apply the extra. Shar Damaminayin. But how do you know all the other times, all the other bloods also have to be poured onto the base? Tamalaymar, Vanisha Badam Yimatze. That the blood is going to be pressed on the mizbeach. Shein tamalar b'dam, umat tamalar b'dam, meaning he didn't have to say the word dam because we know we're talking about the word dam. So what is dam telling us? Limin al kol dam shetun and matan dam liyasoid. So that's teaching us that all blood needs to be poured onto the yasoid. So therefore we learn it out from a different pasuk. So it's not a kasha. Okay, the Gemara says, well, we need it for something else. But we still need the pasuk for this. You really are supposed to sprinkle it. Is that the way you teach it? It says Rika. Well, Zarek really means to throw. Right? You're supposed to throw the blood. So how do you know that something that's supposed to be thrown, that's shenitna b'shvicha, that was poured instead of thrown, yatsa, how do you know? It says you should pour it. Right? So now we know. So then that's what dam zvachecha yishavach is. Again, we said dam zvachecha yishavach is telling us that just one nesina onto the mizbeach is enough. But here we need that pasuk for something else. We need the pasuk to tell us that pouring onto the mizbeach is also okay, even though you're supposed to throw it. So what I answer, Savalak Rabbi Kiva, he holds like Rabbi Kiva, the Amar loy zrika bechlal shrika, loy shricha bechlal zrika. Zrika is not, Rabbi Kiva disagrees. He says Zrika is not part of
Oh my
Shricha,
goodness.
and Shricha is not part of Zrika. Right? The
This is a
Tanan,
good, this is a
what?
good raya for me
That what?
that Malika and Shvita are not the same thing.
Malika and Shchita are not the same thing. What, you want to tell it?
Yeah. You see, these are the two ways to get dam on the Mizbeah. And he says they're not the same. So the same Malika is just that's the way you kill oilus katas and oil and the katas. Doesn't mean that it's shkita. Doesn't mean it can matters the animal, the bird, even though we don't eat it, but it doesn't mean it matters it for people.
Right. I hear. Okay, I hear that. This is. I found this machloikus to be more interesting, and the depressing part. Not that I have to unload my baggage onto the island, is that I'm looking at this. Wow, this is very interesting, right? And then I look, and we had it in Psachim, in Arvei Psachim of all Prakim, the easiest parak. And I said, this is mamish. It was new to me, as if I never saw it in my life. And I said, I cannot believe that I had no recollection of this whatsoever. Okay, whatever. Anyways, the Tanan.
I don't have a recollection of this third parakin. Zevachim.
I don't whatever, but this no.
But
Sometimes when you leave,
is like a geschmack.
right? So sometimes you see something, you're like, this is taka interesting. What bracha do you make on the Korban Pesach? Right? It's like, what bracha do you make on the Korban Pesach? It's a good riddle, but I never heard of that in my life. Okay, well, it's on Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph in Arvei Psachim. Ay ay ay. Anyways, okay, the Tanan. Perach Birchas Pesach. If you make the bracha on the Korban Pesach, potter es shel zevach. Then you potter the zevach. Now, what this is we know that this is the Korban Pesach you have to bring. Now, you have to eat the Korban Pesach ala soiva. So, you usually had groups that made the Korban Pesach together. So there was not usually enough meat to go around. So you have to bring a Korban Chagiga to supplement the Korban Pesach. So two different.
So when the car comes to give extra pieces of matzah.
I'm not so sure, but I could imagine that the Fruma had their sheer kazayas from the animals, and they probably needed a lot more animals. Yeah, you're right. So Rashi, so Rashi brings the Toseftim Psachim. At least this is a Toseftim Psachim. It's not the Gemara, right? On the Korban Pesach, so it's Rashi into the right. Baruch Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lechol haPesach. That's the bracha on the Korban Pesach, and the bracha on the Zevach, which is the Chagiga. Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lechol es hazevach. All right. So the question is, if you make one, does one bracha pater the other, or does it not? Right. So the Tanam Beirach Birchas HaPesach pater shel Zevach. If you already made the bracha on the Korban Pesach, so then you're automatically including the Chagiga in it. But Shel Zevach, if you make the bracha on the Chagiga first, loy pater as a Pesach, you didn't pater the Pesach. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel, that's Shitas Rabbi Shmuel.
How can you make the bracha on the Chagiga first?
Why not?
Aren't you supposed to be hungry for the Korban Pesach?
No, but you also have to have a lasoiva.
Soiva.
Yeah.
What's all it says?
Satisfy. Soiva donuts. You ever heard of those?
Okay.
Okay, that's how I know the types of. That's how I know the types of soba. You got to use whatever tools you can to remember.
Are those satisfying?
No, they're not satisfying at all. That's why we remember. Right? The only thing they do is make you dirty with the white. Does it even still exist, that company, David? I don't know.
100%. Yeah, I see hot dog buns, hamburger buns. Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever had a fresh one of Yaakov.
Well, that's
very
true.
good.
That's
Very good,
Akiva. It's not fulfilling.
Akiva, you're 100% right.
I don't think anyone has ever had a fresh one. The day somebody has a fresh one, I think Mashiach's going.
You're right. You're right. It ain't no Dunkin' Donuts, right?
You have to eat the whole box. Yeah.
Oh, you mean you got in order to be full.
Boxes were the individual, similar to an Entenmann.
Right. That's true.
You have to eat the whole box.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the pshat in this?
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Aaron said Entom's
Put
had
them
to say,
together.
Sonny should live be well had the best line when Entom's got the hashgacha. So Sonny came in with it. He says, I told you it was kosher.
Very good. Yeah, he's probably right.
Yeah, he probably was. That's right.
Yeah. Anyways, so what's a pshat in this? Why is it that the bracha on the Korban Pesach, according to Rabbi Shmuel, works for the Korban Chagiga, but the Korban Chagiga doesn't work? Right? Why? Because the blood of the Korban Pesach you have to pour on the Mizbeach. With the Chagiga, um, meaning one is poured and one is thrown. Right? How's it go? The Pesach is nishbach, it's poured, and the Chagiga and other Korbanos is a zrika. So Rabbi Shmuel holds that throwing is part of pouring. Right? So therefore, that's why it fits with the other brisa, that if a kohen poured when he was supposed to throw it, he's potter. So Mamela, he says the same thing. So therefore, it's all included. That's what Rabbi Shmuel. That's why Rabbi Shmuel says it. Meaning, you'd think it has something to do with the karbanos themselves. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the blood. All right, but pouring, pouring is not part of throwing. So therefore, if you just make the bracha on the pouring part, then you have to make the bracha on the throwing part.
I don't know why we calling Zrika pouring. And I learned this with Ravar and David. He said Zrika was a spritz with a finger, not like not like we
Right. Okay.
like
Very good.
not like the Mishnah in Sukkah. You know, the guy pours the water on the on the Evid. You know, that's But the Shvicha is always. Shvicha is always on the side of the Mizbeach. I thought that's like the Shirayim is nishvach on the side, but Zrika is up on top, I believe. So it's a
So
sprint.
that's gonna be tomorrow's
Yeah.
tomorrow's daf. It's gonna describe what the zrika is with the whole deal. Yeah. Okay. So Rebbe Kiva Aimer, Loi zu patera zu, v'loi zu patera zu. Rebbe Kiva says no go. You can't. You got to make two separate brachas, regardless of what the order is. Right. So because he holds that the zrika of the dam doesn't help for the shricha, and shricha doesn't help for the zrika. So Mamela, the Tana is going to go like Rebbe Kiva. That the zrika and the shricha are two different things. Mamela, he's not going to use the pasuk. Right? So therefore, the pasuk is still available to tell us that one placing of blood on the mizbeach hachitzon is sufficient. Okay, then we'll tries again. But we still need the pasuk for something else. It says, and this is talking about what you makriv from bechoros, right? So it says a bechor of a shor, or a kesev, it's a sheep, or a aze or a goat, and then the pasuk finishes off, and you got to be zayrik the blood onto the mizbeach, and you burn the chaylev, the fats. Lamanu, the bechar shaton matan dam ve'mur l'gav mizbeach. So we learn from that pasuk that a bechar requires, like just any other carbon, requires to put the blood and the emura on the mizbeach. Meiser Pesach minayin. How do you know that a meiser, like a meiser behema, right? What the 10th behema, and the Pesach? How do you know? And the blood of your zvachim you should pour. So what do you see? That the reason that the source for knowing that meiser and Pesach get poured in the mizbeach is dam zvachecha yishafech. So how can you say that this pasuk is being used to tell you that you have to pour blood? That even one placing of blood on the mizbeach is a problem. So I want to answer. Savalak Rabbi Yosei Glili, tells Rabbi Yosei Glili, Tana Rabbi Yosei Glili, Omer Dam Eloi Nemar. Right? It doesn't say dam, ela damam. It says their blood plural. Right? Chalba Eloi Nemar. It doesn't say its fat. Right? It says ela chalbam, their fat. Limer al bachar ma'aser Pesach. So that tells us that b'chor ma'aser and Pesach, the blood needs to go on the mizbeach. Shaton matan damim, then it needs matan dam ve'murin legabe mizbeach. So Mamela, it's a machlokes. So he's going with the shitas that hold that we know it from the other pasuk. So that frees up the damas v'chechu yishafir. Okay, Rabbi Shmuel, hi krom mapikli lahachi mapikli lahachi, like the classic question. Now he's saying you need. Now it seems like the pasuk is telling us two things, right? That meaning because Rabbi Shmuel, he learns out, he holds dam tzvachecha yishav. Meaning it's very nice that you answered it up that we go our mission is going to Rabbi Yosef Glidu. What about Rabbi Shmuel himself? So the Gemara answers, Trey Tanoya, leave it to Rabbi Shmuel. It's two Tanoyim according to Rabbi Shmuel. I got to just insert my apikoros. Is Gershon on? Gershon's on? Doesn't
Just
Gershon
about
look like he's
halfway.
having a, it looks like he's Gershon having a schwache day. Yeah, for Shalema. But I just have to slide in my apikoros because this is the third time in the last blot and change that we said Trey Tanoya Liva. Yesterday we had two, and today we have one. What's my apikoros? Is that I think the Gemara gets in its moods to say certain terutzim, right? And we've discussed it, but I don't know. It's you tell me 3 times in one daf, the Gemara decides to go down that road.
I think Tzvi Yaakov gets in the mood, not the Gemara.
Yeah, I know. I just wonder. I'm trying to bring the Gemara down to human nature, which is probably apikoros, right? But I'm just in my feeble mind trying to understand, right? So I just wonder. Like we always say, tekus, right? You get one teku, it comes along with another few for sure, right? It's almost like they're not in the mood. Like the Rebbeim was like, it's Soif's man, just teku it, finished.
With drushes, it makes more sense to say Trey Tanoi. Especially
Where?
the way the Ramchal learns the whole parsha of drushes. The Tanan had a free bechira which pasuk to decide to learn which drusha from. So Trey Tanoi leaves Rabbi Yehuda. All the Mishnayos is Rabbi quoting Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi's quoting someone he heard say quote B'Shem Rabbi Yehuda. So when it comes to
Right.
drushes, where it's anyway pretty much arbitrary to the Tanaim which pasuk to learn what from, Trey Tanoim leave it to whoever makes more sense. It's the probably the best answer to give.
Right. I hear. I'm saying okay. It's the best, but it's the easiest.
Sometimes they coincide. With drushes, they're both easy and it makes sense.
Yeah, you had to wake him up.
You're right, Barrett. Sorry. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So anyway, so Lamaisa, Rabbi Shmuel is learning it out for 2. So we say it's 2 Tanaim according to Rabbi Shmuel. Fine. Now the Gemara continues in this machlokes. Right? Yeah. So Bishon Rabbi Shmuel. So let's go to according to Rabbi Shmuel the Moikim Lakule Bechar that he says the whole pasuk is all talking about Bechar. Right? Meaning in there's 3 different types of Becharas. Hainu Dichsiv Upsaram Yiyah and the basar will be to you. Right? Because by a Bechar, the meat of all Bechar goes to the Kohanim. So that's what it means. The meat goes to the Kohanim. El Rabbi Yossi, but according to Rabbi Yossi, the Mukilei, Nami, B'Maisa, Upesach, he says that the pasuk is not only talking about Bechor, but it's also talking about Meiser and Pesach. Meiser and Pesach, Bailam Achlulei. The Meiser and Pesach, the owner of the animal eats it, not the Kohen. My Ubasarim Yilcha. So what does it mean? And the basar is going to be yours, right? So the Gemara says, Echa tam, echa bamum. One is talking about a tam, like a complete animal, and one is talking about a balmum. All right. Meaning they both go to the Kohen. All right, how's it go? They both go. Right, meaning obviously that the mum doesn't get brought, right? But they both go to the Kohen. Right, and meaning the one with the mum, there's the Kohen just shechts it and eats it. On Talmud Beis, Limed, Al b'chor b'almum shenitnin l'kohen. This the pasuk's coming to tell us that a b'chor b'almum goes to the kohen. Shaloi metzinu loy b'chol Torah kula, and we don't see a source for this in the entire Torah. I don't get exactly what this means. Meaning, there's no other place in the Torah that tells us that a kohen gets to keep a b'chor that's a b'almum for himself, except this pasuk. Okay. So I mean, there has to be a pasuk somewhere. So this is the pasuk, right? So Taisus has a little bit a different shot in this, right? Taisus says, "Shalai matzinu lai b'chal Torah kula" means you don't have a parallel case of anything similar to this anywhere in the Torah. This is the only thing, right? Because normally, balei mum, what you do is you paid it, and then you get a new carbon, right? And that's what you know. So an animal gets becomes a balmum. Right, so you paid it. You take, let's say, the balmum's worth $100. You take it $100, sell it, take that 100, buy a new carbon, and be makriv it. Not here. That's what it means. Rabbi Shmuel, how does he know this? Nafkalei milachayiyeh the seifa. It says lachayiyeh in the seifa. Right, fine. So now the Gemara stops. The Gemara doesn't say, okay, what does the other sheet to do with that? I'm not sure what does Rabbi Yisrael do with that. The Chayya, I don't know. I don't know why the Gemara sometimes just stops the Shakal V'Taya. Fine. Now the Gemara continues. Bishlam the Rabbi Yossi.
It works according to Rabbi Galili too.
What?
It's the Shitasam. There's a Machlekes Rabbi Galili and everyone else, whether the Bechayr, the Matnas Kahuna, the Karbanis of Matnas Kahuna, is Mishulchan Gavaya Kasi or not. So Rabbi Galili holds that it's Mishulchan Gavaya Kasi. So Bechayr becomes like a carbon. So the Mele L'Chayi is going to be going back on everything. According to Rabbi Shmuel, there is no Mishulchan Gavaya Kasi. So Bechayr and Meiser and Pesach are three completely different things. Two are Karbanis, one's not. One's mom and head. If it's mom and hediyat, it needs a l'chayi.
So you're saying it's built in that Rabbi Yossi.
Right.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Fine. So then the Gemara continues. Bishlam Rabbi Yossi Glili, the Muki Leinami b'Maisur Pesach, that he says the pasuk's talking about Maisur and Pesach. Hainu Dusiv. That's what it says in the pasuk. Loisifte Kodesh. It's Loisifte because it's Kodesh. Haim Kraven ve'ain Timurasan Kraven. They're Karev, but their Timura is not. Right? The Tanan, because we learned in the Mishnah, Timuras b'charu Maisur, the Timura b'charu Maisur. Hain v'vladon v'vlad at soif kol ha'olam, them and their vlad vladom until soif kol ha'olam harehin ki b'charu ma'aser. They all have this kedusha, right? V'yochlu b'muman l'bailam, and if they get a mum, they get eaten by the bailam. Like we just said, normally you're paida palimuman, here they get to keep it. The Tanana also we learned in the Mishnah, Amar Rabbi Shua Shamati Shetmuras Pesach Kreva, that if somebody swaps out a korban Pesach, it gets brought. Utmuras Pesach ain't a Kreva, but I said I also heard that it doesn't get brought. So which one is it? Mainly the Farish, and the only way I can explain it, that the stira, that one place it says that if you swap out a Pesach, what you're not allowed to do, is brought, and if you swap it out, it's not brought. And he says, I can't explain it. Ella Rabbi Shmuel. The only way I can explain it is according to Rabbi Shmuel, Demukile Kule B'Bechar, that he says that the whole pasuk is talking about Bechar. Ma'asur Pesach, the loy kreva to Murasam Einale. So then, where does he know Ma'asur and Pesach? Right? I'm sorry, I typed it wrong. He says, Tmuras Pesach Eina Kreva Ve'Einli Lefarish. He says, I can't explain it. I don't understand what to do with the stira. El Rabbi Shmuel, Demukile Kuli B'Bechar, but according to Rabbi Shmuel, who says the whole thing is Bechar, Ma'asur Pesach to loy kreva to Murasam Einale. How does he know that you don't bring the Tmura of Ma'aser and Pesach? Right? because by him that pasuk is only talking about Bechor. It's not talking about Meiser and Pesach. So he answers Meiser Gomar from the word the Meiser. He learns it out from the word Avra Avara mi Bechor. He learns it out from the. It doesn't say the word Avara. It says Yavor, and then it says Vehavarta. The same shirish, right? It says Avara Avara.
Ironically, by Pesach it does say Evra.
That's true. Evra of
Evra v'zav b'shlachas malachei run.
right. Very good, very good. So yeah, so he learns it out. Evra mi Bechor Pesach. Right, that's for Meiser. Pesach behedya kosabe. Pesach it says beferish kesev. Right there it says beferish kesev. Ma tamen loimer im kesev. The rabbis tmuras a Pesach. Achra Pesach shetikar l'shlamim. Yochol af lefnei Pesach came. So you would think that maybe if you do this even before the Korban Pesach was brought, you would think so. Tamen loimer who. So therefore it says who. That only the original Pesach is brought and not the Tmura. So okay, so what I asked v'chol hanach tanoi the mafkile lahai dam tzvchechu yishafik l'drosha achrini. So we said on Amud Aleph that we have all these different tanoim learning out from dam tzvchechu yishafik for a different drosha. Hai kol nitnin al mizbeach achitzin shenitnim atana achas shekiper minalo. How do they know? Right again, we started the whole sugya with from dam tzvchechu yishafik tells us that as long as you put the blood on one corner of the mizbeach, one placing on the mizbeach, you're okay. Now we asked three or four kashas that we need to puzzle with something else, and we answered. But Lamaisa, those shitas that Taka learned Dams B'Chech Yishafeh, where do they learn it from? Where do they know this din? Right. So how do they know this din? Savri lehu. Beis Hillel, they hold like Beis Hillel. The Amri af chata shenitna matana achas keeper. They hold like Beis Hillel, that even one, that's enough. V'yafina kulu mechatos, and then they learn the whole din out from chatos. Right? Meaning we're going to see in tomorrow's daf, Bez Hashem, that chatos we learn out from chatos and from the word slicha that comes together with the word chatos. Okay, so that's the whole shaklavataria of that. Now, this next Gemara we've had before, relatively easy, but again, also drushes with kri and ksiv. We know that there's psukim that are written one way and pronounced another way. All right? So Gemara says, "V'achatas shtei matanas," and a chatas is two matanas. Omer of Huna. Right? We said so. A chatas needs at least two matanas. A chatas is supposed to have four. Two is enough. Amar Rav Huna, my time at the Beis Shammai. I'm sorry. Beis Shammai holds two is enough. Beis Hillel holds one is enough. My time at the Beis Shammai. What does Beis Shammai say? Is then it says kronos, kronos, kronos. Right? 3 times it says kronos. Right? Arekan sheish, because it says it 3 times and it's plural. So 3 times 2, 6. Arba la mitzvah. It's telling you that 4 it's a mitzvah for the chatas. Shtayim la'akev, and 2 it's to be ma'akev. Ubeis Hillel. Karnas, karnas, karnas. It says 2 karnas without the vav, and karnas with the vav. Hare kan arba. So that gives you 4.
Which one does it? A minute ago it said it 3 times with
Right.
the vav. Now it's saying it says it without. Which one does it say?
No, he's going with the ksiv.
Okay.
Right. When you don't have that with the vav we put in to help us pronounce.
Right. That's actually written without the
What?
It's actually written the way Beis Hillel saying.
I don't know what's written. Lamaisa, I have no idea. Maybe Gershon knows. I don't know.
But if he's going with the ksiv, that's what's actually written.
Maybe there's different Korean ksivs.
So some of the drasha was sukkahs.
But we're going to get to that. Very good,
Yeah.
Rahman.
Yeah.
You're on the ball tonight. You're on the ball every night. But tonight, I'm sorry for bringing sports into it. You're on.
He bounces around so much. He's on a ball.
Oh, very good. I don't know. The
Could you answer
psukim,
the question how
the
it's written?
psukim on the side, bring them all without the vav.
All 3 of them.
All 3.
Okay. Give up.
Right?
Gershon, any enlightenment?
Nope.
Okay. Anyways. Ubeis Karnas, Hare Kan Arba. That tells us that there's four corners, right? Or really horns, right? Because the base of the mizbeach it's stuck up from the corners. Shalosh lemitzvah, it's telling you 3 is a mitzvah. V'achas la'akev, and 1 is ma'akev. So meaning that you need to do at least 1. Ve'emel kulu lemitzvah. Maybe you should say that all 4 mean it's a mitzvah, and which means that all 4 need to be done. If you don't do all 4, it's no good. So kapara ichti loy ashkechan. You don't see a kapara for no reason, right? Meaning, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Ema kulu mitzvah is, let's say that the whole thing is a mitzvah, meaning you put it on all 4 corners, good. And if you don't put on any corners, it's also good. So Gemara says that can't be. Kapara b'chti lo yishuv. That means if you didn't put any, we said the main thing of the mizbeach, of the carbon, is to put the blood onto the mizbeach. And now we're saying, oh, if you don't put any blood on it, it's fine. So that doesn't work. Biba is saying behind the time of the Beis Hillel, ahani mikra v'ahani mesaris, because they say that we go with the psukim and we go with the mesaris. Ahani mikra l'tfuy echada. The mikra adds 1. V'ahani mesaris l'betzura echada, and then the mesaris comes to negate 1. Right? Meaning, if you pronounce it kan nois, so then it's with the vav, so then it's 6. Right? So, but the problem is which way you're going. You're going with the kri, you're going with the ksiv. So because of that, so it's got to be somewhere between 4 and 6.
So if you hold yesh aim limiseris, you also hold yesh aim limikra to some degree.
I think he's not sure.
But according to Beis Hillel, he's not sure.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, so therefore, what he's going to do is he's going to make a pshara. This is your classic pshara. I can't say I understand it. He's saying the krana is if you do it malay, you have 6, and if you do it chaser, you have 4. So let's add on 1 to the chaser and subtract 1 from the malay, and that gives us 5. And therefore, 4 is lechatchila and 1 is ma'akiv. That's the second way of Beis Hillel learning it. Right? Elameata, if that's the case, this is Rabbaran's favorite, l'toitafos, by tefillin, right? That says l'toitafos. By the way, just invite the oilam. If we have a minyan tomorrow, my youngest son Mendel Bez Hashem putting on tefillin tomorrow, so I guess l'toitafos, and I'm going to try and make a minyan in my mother's house at 8:00. We're going to try, yeah. Anyway, so. There is no bar mitzvah, so that was the official invitation. So it says the vav. It's spelled. This one is, I think, it's spelled straight out, right? Twice without a vav, and once with a vav. Yeah, that's the way it is in the Torah. So that gives you 4. Hare kan arba. That's 4. Ahani krav, ahani mesaris. Chamisha bati ba'olam. So if you're saying you go with the Kra and the Mesiris, then there should be, if you go with the way it's pronounced, it should give you 6 tefillin. If you go with the way it's written, it should be 4. So we're going to go with 5. So then you should have to have 5 parshias, right? Or at least five sections. So he says, no, so look, tat bekaspi shtayim, that the word taitafos in Caspian, the language of Caspian, is 2, and pas Afriki is shtayim, and the pas in Africa means 2. So that just tells us that's what we get 4, right? Meaning the Torah is basing the limud of something that we do every day, kemat every day, is based on 2 foreign languages. I'm just preempting Rabbaran's kasha, right? So yeah, I'm not preempting. I'm just being mechaven. Yeah.
So you see that throughout. I'm saying, didn't we see it in Parshas Bereshis that there's lashonos of
yeah.
Torah speaks in other lashonos outside of I think Rashi brings it down. Is it in Parshas Bereshis?
Right. No, Rashi. Yeah. What? Yeah.
The Torah speaks in other languages.
We had a Gemara, Galeid.
Yeah, I mean, but it's throughout Chumash. You see that it's not only one language.
Right. Now, in the
No,
art scroll, the footnote.
Yaakov is saying that the mitzvah, like the most basic mitzvah that everybody knows and does, is by a nutrican or by a gematria of 2 foreign languages. It's pretty strange.
that is interesting.
It's pretty strange.
Yeah, that
So
part is interesting. Yes, I agree.
So you have art scroll, yeah. So the footnote in the art scroll here brings epis. I don't understand. Don't remember. Whatever, right? They bring some Armakoimus there.
Yeah, they bring down a shlug, Yaakov.
They bring a shla. It's a shla.
The shla says that be'etzem it used to be Hebrew words, but they, meaning the etymology, the original, the shirish of the word is lashon hakodesh, but they got incorporated into other languages, and they're be'etzem Hebrew, but they mean lashon hakodesh, but these other places took on that word. So therefore, the question is why Rabbi Kiva then is sourcing it to those other languages if be'etzem it's lashon hakodesh. I don't know then what's the pshat.
It's very hard to say like that.
He brings it out from a shla. I don't know.
I know. It's very hard to say that.
Good thing he was a shla. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting. Right, because it's not the mashmos of what Rabbi Kiva was doing. I agree. I don't know.
Even besides for the mashmos, lashon hakodesh is a very, very definite language. Each letter means something. You put 2 together, it means something definitive. To say that there's 2 words for shtayim in lashon hakodesh, 3 really, because you have shtayim and tat and tas.
Right.
Well, again, it could be they're used in different ways. I don't know. Like,
right.
Again, I don't know. I didn't create the world, so with words, but it's very possible. There's many. It's not the only word that has 2 different words. Lashon hakodesh, there are words that have, can mean the same.
So I don't. But yeah. Anyway, so the point is that because you have a special dispensation for tat and pas, so then it's 2. It's 2. Each one is 2, so that makes 4. Elamayata will do one more. Basukas, like Rahman was saying. So there it says sukas twice without a vav, and sukas once with a vav. Ahani mikra v'ahani mesaris chamisha daf nasava. I mean, that's how we know you need 4 walls. Sukas, basukas. So chamisha, at least lechatchila 4 walls. So say chamisha daf nasava. You should need to have 5 walls. On Tamar now. Hasam chad kra kuli legufe. There, you need 1 pasuk just to tell you the concept of having a sukkah. V'chad l'schacha, and then 1 for schach. Ase al hilchasa, and then comes halach al Moshe Messina v'garasa l'shlishas, and it knocks down the 3rd, that it doesn't have to be a full 3rd wall. V'kimta tefach, and says all has to be is a tefach, if it's a certain amount of tvachim, 7 tvachim away from the wall, whatever it is. But that's for the special limudim.
A finger.
Huh?
Riddle, and on Shabbos it has to be just a pull.
On Shabbos,
Your riddle, the 3rd wall.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that
3
Well,
tefachim, less than 3 tefachim. That way you have row over the wall.
right. That should show you the sun 7. Right, that could be 3. Yes, thank you. Okay, 1 more, 2 more. I said we'll do 1 more. Let's do 1 more. Elamayata, 1 more. Utemeya shvuayim. It says that a woman is tamei for 2 weeks when she has a baby girl. She's tamei for 2 weeks. Shivim, but it's written as shivim, 70. So now it's a big difference. She's in either for 2 weeks, 14 days, or 70. If you're going to say ahani krav ahani masairis, and if you're going to say that we use the pasuk, the way it's read, and we use it the way it's written, masairis is the way it's handed over. So now we're making a pshara. So our boyim would train boy lemesavs, and it should be 42 days. Well, meaning what's the math? There's 2 options: 14 and 70. So we subtract 14 from 70, split it in half. That's going to get you. How's it go?
14. 28. That would be 28.
That's going to get you.
It's treating shivim like a plural of 35. So if you half shivim and double the sheva, the shvuayim.
Right, you have to add it on to the 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is for sure, right?
What do you get? How does he get 35?
Yeah, no, it's not 35.
42.
No, you have
It's
70.
the average between 70
You have 14,
and
you have for sure.
14 you have 4.
14 you have for sure. Now the question is how much more than 14? Do we go to 70 or not? Right? So then what you do is you have 70 minus, so what do we, 70 minus 14. That gives you
the halfway point to be 42.
That gives you 56. Split that in half.
It's 28.
28 plus the original 14. That gives you 42. That's why I want to do this tonight, not start this off tomorrow, Bez Hashem. Right?
You're playing with the 14.
Although Taisus, listen, we like to do 5-word Taisusin, right? Naftali likes 5-word Taisusin. So the second Taisus down says Arbon v'tart, and he says Chatzi Shivim v'Chatzi Arba'asa. Half of each.
Okay, do you know what I like better than 5-word Taisusin?
Yeah.
5-word Daf.
I hear. Okay, well we're getting pretty short ones coming up. Right. But anyway.
It's not the same as the previous ones.
What?
It's not the same as the previous ones. The previous ones, we
the
added
cheshbon's not the same.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Having both of them. I don't know why we would
either
do
way,
that.
right. Okay, but that's what the pasuk's trying to say. So they want to answer, so meaning according to the cheshbon that you split, you always make pshara. So then it should be 42, however you get there. When it says Shani Hasam Tichsiv Kenidasa. There it says Kenidasa, that it's like her nida, which is 2 weeks. Right now, it's not exact because nida is not 2 weeks. Right, but it's berach. Right. Yeah, so that's why we go with the 2 week and not the 70 days. Right. So that's meaning the reason is right. Well, let's go with Taisus.
He says 7 days.
Right.
So Shvuayim would be twice 7 days.
Correct. Meaning we're nida 7 days. Right, and we're going to go with what's more norm, which is nida a week. So we're going to add on 1 week, right? And that's it.
Yaakov, I think we've officially jumped. We've jumped the shark when it comes to drushes. This drush does not have any shaykhs to anything we've ever seen.
You're 100% right.
No, I am sorry. Like at this point, like.
Yeah, you are right. I don't know what to tell you.
Because it's somewhat close to 2 weeks. What does it even mean?
No, I mean it's 2 weeks.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, somewhat close to nida, which is 1 week.
Correct. And then we're going to add on more.
Close.
And if we're going to add on more, we shouldn't go to 42. We should go to only 2 weeks.
No, we should ignore. In the pasuk. What does shvuayim mean? With or without the vav, it doesn't matter. Shvuayim means 2 shvuas kenidasa. Like a nida is 1 shvua, shvuayim means 2. So you can't say that.
But yeah, meaning that's where you're going to go, Buster. Even though Batson the drasha says you shouldn't do that.
Well, if we would use the drasha, if we could use the drasha, we would say it means whatever, 42. But you can't use the drasha here because the pasuk specifies it's kanidasa. Nidasa is shvua, so when it says shvuayim, it can't mean shivim.
Why? Because it's closer?
No, because the Torah bases it on nida. Nida is
not
a
really. The Torah sort of bases it on nida.
It is based on nida. It's shvuayim kanidasa. By a zacher, it's 1 shvua. By nekeva, it's 2 shvuas. But the nida is always a shvua.
Right.
Not today's nida. Nida could make the original nida.
So I'm always just saying, 42. Our daf used to be 40 minutes. I'm not sure what limud we can learn out of that, but it used to be 40 minutes with a cutoff.
Right.
So.
Today was pretty much exactly 42.
Yeah, we're at 75.
Parrots, schnapps used to be 80 proof. Now, if you don't do 105, you're like,
It's Katnu Adiris. Either way, we'll stop there with the covered parrots.
This Tosafos, I was always wondering where the girl got. There's a Machlochus in Beya is by Yom Tov. It's Seres Til Hashem or it's Seres Lachem, and so there's a Machlochus Rabbi Elazar, I think, and Rabbi Shua. Rabbi says Chatzian. So the Gra says on the Chatzian, he learns a Chatzi Lashem, Lamed Yudke Vavke, and Chatzi Lachem, Lamed Chaf Mem. You put it together, you have the gematria of Yom Tov. So now I can say where the Gra got this idea of Chatzi Hin and Chatzi Her. You got half of this one, half of that one.
Very good. I hear. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Well, so you got Inyana the Yuma in here too. I don't know what you're going to speak